What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Whiskey, Web, and Whatnot with myself, Robbie the Wagner, and my co-host, as always, Charles William Carpenter the Third. You almost have to say something every time because
I know. I felt obligated. I didn't want to this time, and you peer pressure me into it. Well, you give that awkward pause.
Yeah. Anyway, our guest today is Shaundai Person. How's it going?
Great. Thank you for having me on. Excited to talk with y'all today.
For folks that have not maybe heard of you, could you give us a couple sentences about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Yep. I'm Shaundai Person. I am a senior software engineer at Netflix. I'm based in Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia area in the United States for those of us who are international. I am a front-end developer, and I work on our productivity tools, which are the tools for essentially making other Netflix engineers more productive. Aside from that, I speak at conferences a bunch. I also have been working on a course on TypeScript, which is called TypeScript for JavaScript Developers. You can find out more about it and get updates by signing up on the mailing list, ts4js.com. That's tsforjs.com. It's essentially a course for teaching you TypeScript, but with the intention of using TypeScript at an enterprise organization that is going to be shipping TypeScript to prod. So that's me in a nutshell. And the last part is that I'm a mom. I'm a mom of a 5-year-old who you may hear because he's got a lot of energy. He's downstairs, but it's been a day that he had ice cream at school or at his camp today. So you'll get what you get.
Yep. Yeah, we welcome it. Bring it on. You know, if you give him a little sip of this whiskey, it might help.
Hey,
that's
some solid
that energy. That's that's some old Southern advice for you. Yeah, I grew up in Kentucky, so you're a little rambunctious. Here's a little cap of this.
Daddy's tired. Here you go,
little ones. Yeah, daddy tired. Oh boy. Yeah, so and that probably explains. Yeah, that probably explains a lot about me.
Yeah.
So anyway, so it's funny you said that you're working on internal tools at Netflix. I'm just curious offhand because Robbie, when you did work for Netflix, didn't you work on internal tools? Did you delete any of Robbie's code? That's what I want to know.
No. It was probably different teams. I did internal tools for like the finance team to use, not for devs to use. So like It was like studio finance team. I assume that's not the team you're working on, or
no. I am. I'm the tools that I'm working on right now. It's new stuff. I don't know how long ago it was that you were at Netflix, but this is new things for anybody who knows the internals of Netflix. One of our bigger issues is that we have a lot of disparate tools to do different things. We've built a lot of tools in-house, and then we've scaffolded off of like different other things that other companies are using to get us from point A to point B or to Z. They're all in different places, and the documentation is all in different places. And so part of what we're doing is building a system that consolidates everything under a common UI, and also just gives people a single point of reference so that things are more discoverable. Where you start on day one as a Netflix engineer and you're not like, oh, what's the tool for building, circus tents? Oh, it's called Atlas. Like, it makes no sense, So we're helping to make onboarding and moving to different teams and migrating tools a lot more seamless.
Okay. Now that does spark a number of follow-up questions, but I'm going to put a pin in it for now.
Cool.
Because we're really here for one reason, and that is the whiskey. Yes. So here we go. Take it away, Chuck. What are we having today?
I assumed you would just go right into it. Didn't know how to introduce you.
I mean, we each have our jobs, and you failed. So this is S.N. Pike's Magnolia Bottled and Bond Rye Whiskey. So bottled and bond means it's 100 proof. It used to be a federal thing and was taxed based on its proof and had to be at this actual... They would go and inspect in the rick houses the bottles, and then they would put like a government tax seal over the top. And then it no longer is a thing. It's just kind of a fun thing to talk about. So this rye is 95% rye, 5% malted barley, and it's aged at least 4 years. But people are cheap, so it's probably just 4 years. I mean, why would they go beyond that? Bottle it at that point. Let's see what we got.
It smells like banana Sprite to me.
Huh. I do get a little banana peel.
Banana Sprite.
There's always money in the banana stand. So I think you affected me on that a little bit, though. Like Bananas Foster or something like that.
Yeah, maybe a little of that.
What I'm getting.
It is something sweet and nutty.
Yeah.
By the way, I have my holiday Jack Daniel's glass.
Very nice.
Yeah, for Christmas, you get, with every Jack Daniel's bottle that you buy, you get a nice little festive glass. And so this has been my whiskey glass of choice recently.
Very nice. Love it. So it's on brand.
Yeah.
I have some little thing that I found in my parents' cabinet.
It looks like it's like a cordial glass, and they come in various shapes.
It works.
Like, typically, the stemmed like tulip glasses like that are like a cordial glass. I have a drinking problem. I mean, it's not a problem for me, but my loved ones maybe feel differently.
Just give them the cap full of whiskey. That's what you got to do.
That is kind of sweet for a rye. It's very smooth for 100 proof too. It's got a little more of a orange rind or some kind of rind bitterness on the finish. Oh, there's a little burn. Not bad. But yeah, it is.
I feel like I could drink this straight. Like a lot of whiskeys and really ryes, I have a hard time drinking it straight because of that burn. But this isn't. It's a very mild burn.
Yeah. It's like enough to let you know it's there without getting too crazy.
Yeah, I'm still getting a lot of something fruity. Like it almost feels like candy, maybe some runts or something.
It's opening up a little bit for me though, and starting to get a little floral in the aroma.
I'm past the aroma. I'm drinking it now.
Do we get drunk on this podcast?
So sugary. Oh, absolutely. You may.
Appropriate?
You can
Yeah.
do as much or
It's
as little as you want.
encouraged.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah.
So if
That's
I just
kind of
down
the
the
cool
whole
part
bottle.
about it. Yeah. If you chug it, you would be the first to take shots. And I would applaud that.
I love being a pioneer.
Yeah. I'm getting a kind of tobacco leaf, right? A little bit lately.
You chew on a lot of tobacco leaves.
I have tried that twice in my life. I don't recommend it. It wasn't great, but this is fine. It's just one of the flavors I'm kind of picking up on. We have a very strict scale for rating these. 1 to 8 tentacles. 1 being terrible. I never want this again. I guess you could say 0 if you want. Why not? We're engineers. Sure. We can be.
You can do halves.
Yeah, halves. It's like Star Search, 3 1/4 stars. So 8 being amazing, love this, have it all the time, every time, and then obviously everything in between. So 4 just means it's pretty good. It's middle of the road for me. We started segmenting them by types of whiskey because we have a bunch of it, but you certainly don't need to. So yeah, we'll talk about this in the sense of, for us at least, comparative to other ryes. Robbie will go first and show you how it's done, though.
Okay, thanks for throwing me under the bus there.
You were due.
Yeah, so in terms of our baseline rye, we always go back to a Sagamore. Compared to that, I think it's kind of a different category. It's not quite as spicy. It doesn't feel quite the same as ryes, but I quite like it. I like all the fruit flavors. It's interesting for a rye. It's much different flavors than I'm used to. I think I'm going to give it a 6.5.
That's fair. Shaundai, do you have any thoughts?
I like how mild it is, but mild without being too mild. I feel like it's just the right combination. Robbie, you mentioned the sweetness of it. Normally I'll mix it with Coke or Diet Coke. I don't feel like I need to do that. I feel like I could just take my time and enjoy it and not feel all of that burn in my chest. It's given just enough burn so that you know that it's a whiskey and you know it's going to do its job, but without any of the harsh taste or feeling like I'm going to wake up tomorrow with a sore throat. So I'd give this a 7. Actually, I would recommend to friends.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm in the 6.5 to 7 range myself, just because it's so unique. The flavor does kind of go away fairly quickly, which is not bad, right? It doesn't linger a bunch. There isn't a bunch of burn there. I don't feel like I'm going to get heartburn afterwards, which happens sometimes. And it is unique. So I think I would recommend that people try this. I think I don't know what it cost. I take cost into account sometimes where I'm a bunch of hype and it was $80 and it's just okay. It's just as good as a $25 bottle.
I think it was 40 to 60, somewhere in that range. It's not too bad.
Yeah, not bad. I think I'd give it a 7 as well. I think it's unique. If you like ryes, but you want to kind of stretch your palate a little bit, I think this is a nice one to go with. I'm surprised too for just a 4-year It's got a lot of range. I would wonder if they let it go a couple more years, if it might get like that much better. Like if they have something that's aged a little longer, or maybe a barrel strength or something like that, that might do something for it. So, but yeah, I agree. I think it's pretty good. I'm going to give it a 7, and I'll continue to sip it. I won't give this bottle away. That doesn't happen a ton, but sometimes I'm like, this is terrible. Someone else needs to have this. I'm not even going to finish it. That's how bad it is.
Yeah.
Only and other times when they are, only a few times that I've had that experience. Other times it'll just be because we end up with a bunch of whiskey. If we're invited for dinner or whatever else. Not Robbie and I don't socialize with him, but
no.
Bring a bottle and leave it, and then you're nice to your friends at that point. So,
can I ask, what's the worst whiskey that you've tasted? Is it like at the top of your memory? I know the worst one that I've tasted.
Yeah, we know the one that Chuck had to get another whiskey mid-episode was the Hudson Short Stack. It was like a maple syrup.
The pancake one or something? Yeah, that was terrible. And it was like $60, $70 for only a $3.75. It was horrible. And I absolutely gave that away, only because my brother tried it, and he was like, oh, I don't mind it. And I was like, yours. Take it away from me. Yeah, that one was definitely bad.
Oof.
What was yours?
That peanut butter whiskey. I think it's...
Oh, yeah, that one's terrible.
Yeah, and I love peanut butter so much. And people were like... There were multiple people from different areas of life that were like, you will love this. But I realized you can't trust everybody with their whiskey taste. Like some people are, more cocktail, margarita type of people. Those aren't the whiskey people that you... like you don't want to talk to them about whiskey.
If they like Fireball, just stay away from them. Their suggestions. I mean, they might be fine friends. Just, they don't have good taste.
Right. You have poor taste in whiskey.
I got that. Yeah, I tried that stuff for free once and only once. And I was like, I felt ripped off still. It was like, here, try this out. And I was
we should have been paid
why have you
to
done
try
this
it?
to me? Why have you done this to me? What did I ever do to you? Can I make amends so we never cross this bridge again? So... and also I guess you'll never be able to move to Europe.
Oh,
the peanut butter. Yeah, that's the big thing. If you go to Europe, they don't have peanut butter, so they want you to bring peanut butter and pancake mix. That was a big thing with at least in like Italy and Spain and stuff. They don't have pancakes really. So it's just not the same sponginess or whatever. I think it's like a baking powder thing.
It's all the chemicals.
Yeah, there's that too.
And the sugar.
Know. I have sent some Bisquick or whatever else a couple of times.
That's a shame.
Fun fact. Yeah, Nutella's good though, so that's your trade-off.
Yeah. It's not peanut butter, but
no, it's not. Definitely. All right, should we jump into some hot takes?
Let's do it.
Since we started drinking.
You want me to start?
Well, I'm not going to start.
Well, I didn't know. You were doing this whole thing about like you need to do stuff at a certain time or whatever. But anyway, so our first hot take for TypeScript: do you use inferred types or explicit types?
Inferred types. It's the whiskey already. Yeah, I would say inferred types as the general rule. Start with inferred types and let TypeScript do its thing. Trust it. It's like a relationship. Sorry, I use a lot of analogies, and I'm not going to apologize for it. I was about to apologize.
No, you shouldn't.
Yeah.
No, I use a lot of analogies. So it's like a relationship. You want to trust that the other person is going to do the right thing. You want to go in without, being in defensive mode. You want to trust TypeScript as if it's your partner. Trust that it's there to do the right thing and be there for you through thick and thin, and use the inferred types. I would say use explicit types when TypeScript asks for it. You'll quickly start to get to that point where you're getting little red squigglies and it is asking for types, but as much as you can use inferred types, go for inferred.
Yeah, seems pretty reasonable.
For sure.
I always think like there's no right answer because context matters, right? It's like the context of which you're making things is the right answer, but I think trust is good. The next hot take. Is it even hot take anymore? I don't know.
It's cooling down. Yeah.
All righty. Tailwind or vanilla CSS?
I'm going to get a lot of shit for this. So.
I'm sorry we put you on.
Yeah. Because it's like neither one is one that I would cape for. What I like about Tailwind is that it is, more of a CSS framework type of thing. It's easy to duplicate the styles because you can just use these, I forget what they're called, like essentially variables for things. And I'm all about using the variables and using frameworks. I love frameworks because it takes you to another level of abstraction. Doesn't take away our job as developers or programmers. It just makes things easier for us, makes them scalable and repeatable. One thing that I don't like is that the names are so long and ugly. That just drives me nuts as a very detail-oriented person. That kind of thing just gets on my nerves. That being said, though, when it comes to CSS, when you get to very complicated styling, it starts to get really ugly as well. At Netflix, what we're using is our internal styling system that is based off of Material UI. They've put in so many great things in place where I can just put in a variable. This is the primary button versus the secondary button. And it just automatically puts in all of the, Netflix branded styling for me. When I want to do something a little bit more complicated, it starts to get like really heavy with the amount of declarations that I'm making. I guess I kind of sided with both. If I had to choose, I'll choose Tailwind because of the whole framework, repeatability, scalability aspect of it.
Yeah, I dig that. There's preference, there's opinion, and then there's just something that just solves a problem and lets you think about other things. That's essentially where I ended up landing, because I was just like, this is ugly. Why do I have to put a billion classes? It seems like I'm repeating myself a bunch. Oh, I guess if you get a little smarter about componentize more things and la la la. And wait, I don't have to do all these things? All right, I'm in. I don't care. If it makes me lazy and lets me think about something else, then I'm usually in. That's a good sales pitch for me. Want to be lazy? Yes.
I think probably with most of the answers to these, I don't know what hot takes you're going to ask me, but I think with a lot of my hot takes, I'm not very opinionated when it comes to most technical things. I explore the trade-offs, and I think this is just a whole aside. Some people find their value as an engineer, really more content creators. They'll find their value as somebody who's very opinionated and they can speak about the benefits of this one thing. They'll kind of bash all of the other things. Part of my job is to be able to raise something up as, okay, this is the conclusion that I've come to, or this is the opinion that I've formed, but also explain the trade-offs. I'll always come in with a hot take or an opinion, and I'll start with discussing the trade-offs. Like, it depends is always my start of my answer. And this is where you could go with this, and this is where you can go with that. These are the trade-offs for both. And I think that is one of my strengths as an engineer. For people who are listening, who are growing in their career or just starting out their careers, or even people who are well into their careers, I think that it's a great skill to be able to identify these are the good things about this, these are the good things about that, weighing off these trade-offs and what we're expecting to achieve. This is why I decided this, and to be able to communicate that to your team. I feel like this is good practice for me. So this is like a great thing. And I want to show this to my manager and be like, you know what?
Yeah.
Look at your girl. Like,
well,
she does a good thing.
I was going to say, I think that you're
does her job.
showcasing a trait. And I was initially going to say like, oh, okay. And those to me are the things that kind of show a senior engineer, but I don't know that that's always the case, because I think that people have their strengths and weaknesses certainly. And folks who will like die on the sword aren't necessarily bad. I think you're showing a trait that is good for someone who is suited to be a teacher or a mentor in the space. And obviously those are things you're already doing. So you already see that in yourself. But what I really want to know is, you've revealed that you've never listened to one of our shows. What can we do to bring you on board, aside from send you free whiskey?
What did I say?
You're like, I don't know what the hot takes are. And I'm thinking like, we've been doing these same 4 questions for a couple of months now, give or take. And I'm like, she does not know what they are.
You know what I was thinking though? When we first started, I was like, I need to listen to this show, because you combine all the things that I'm interested in. Another aside is that one of the ways I ended up at Netflix, or probably the primary reason that I ended up at Netflix, is because of my manager. He has a podcast called Front End Happy Hour, and it talks about my favorite things, front end and alcohol. And I'm like, oh my God, This is amazing. So I binge listened to it. I tweeted at him. He ended up tweeting back at me. We became mutuals. And then the relationship just was like fostered from there. It was like a 2-year thing before I ended up actually applying to Netflix. And I was like, I want to work on this guy's team. All that being said, I feel like whiskey, web, and whatever whatnot is all my things. So I feel like I would really enjoy listening to this podcast because I don't commute anymore. I was listening to Front End Happy Hour when I was commuting. I just haven't been listening to podcasts as much. Now I feel like I need to take some time out as I'm going for my walks and listening to these hot takes and all of that.
Right, there you go. And then you'll hear others' feedback on some of these things, and everybody kind of has their opinion or whatever position on that. And some people are neutral, so there is some of that too. I try not to get like too wrapped up in any of these things. I mean, I obviously have my own feelings about it, how I would do it, but I also take into account the people I'm working with and respecting their opinions and all of that. Anyway, sorry I called you out there a little bit, but I just thought it was funny more than anything. I also don't like the sound of my voice, so it's up to you.
Your voice is great, by the way.
It's just the microphones. They actually sound
that's
terrible.
really the only thing. Like if you get a nice microphone and some decent lighting, you can just do whatever you want.
Yeah.
I'm pouring my second.
Yes,
Nice.
love it.
So who is your manager? Is it I know Ryan and Jim are two of the people that do the front, or is it one of them?
Ryan is my manager. Ryan Burgess is my manager.
Yeah,
And he's amazing.
I was trying to do like some kind of crossover with them, and apparently they record their episodes at like 11 Eastern time, and I'm like, whoa,
In the
that's
morning.
late. No, at night.
No.
Yeah, I was
they'll
like,
be
oh,
flexible. No.
Yeah.
No, they'll be flexible with you because, and this is one of the great things that I admire about Ryan as a manager, Jem as a manager as well, but just as a person, they're very accommodating. Ryan's Canadian, so like keep that in mind. Like everything that
he's very friendly.
He's very nice. Like the good part of Canada, not Quebec. So, can I say that?
There's a hot take.
There was a hot take. Yes. Holy crap. You're not totally wrong. I have been to Montreal, and when you don't respond back in French, they start stalking you. It's weird. They think you're going to rob them. Yeah, they don't like you.
Oh yeah.
I don't know
why.
why.
Yeah. They're bad. They're bad.
You just have to play
it's
dumb.
Like immediately.
Be like,
you see
I know
that.
French. No,
Yeah.
I
I mean, je m'appelle
Bonjour.
Charles. Yeah.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Oui, oui. Exactly.
Fries.
Exactly.
Toast. Aren't
Ryan,
those
on the
French
other
things?
hand, when I talk to Ryan and he has like, he gets really mad about something, he'd be like, sorry, not sorry. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you are so
that's amazing. Yeah, see, there we go. We just
You
need
are
to
so
get
great.
on
yeah, he's
podcast
wonderful.
and drink together or something. Yeah, we're just trying to do we were at Render. I think
Did you meet him? And Jem?
No, I didn't. I met Jem, right? Didn't we?
Did I meet you?
I don't know.
I met you.
I
You
think
met
we
some
met.
people,
Yes.
Chuck.
Yes.
I was gone.
I was all over the place. Yes. Yeah, we met.
I was there with Angie Jones and
Mm-hmm.
crew, and we were drinking some Sagamore stuff. So yes, I think we were.
Yeah, we met.
Yeah.
Because you came in and we
people
were
found we
recording
had
something
whiskey.
and then it went crazy and yeah.
That's right.
I was
we
like, I
found
know
you.
we met there. I didn't know you were from Atlanta, but I knew that we met at Render.
All that's to say, he's very accommodating. So it doesn't have to be at 11 at night.
It might happen. We'll see. As long as it's not at like 9 a.m. or something.
Well,
like,
Chuck doesn't care because he's
do
West Coast
care.
time.
Well, yeah, exactly. I care about that, but like I have had to do some very early morning drinking with folks overseas, and I want to accommodate, but it's also not awesome to drink at 9 a.m. You're like, I had a breakfast burrito and now I'm drinking whiskey. It's just like my old days off.
I feel like.
I mean, I guess if you want to do work, that's really
That's your problem.
Yeah,
the sign up.
that's different.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's like
I was going to
fine.
say that's a great day.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
a
end
great-
it there and you're fine.
Burritos and drinking, and then you just
Yeah.
take a nap, and then you wake
Yeah,
up
that's
at like
pretty good.
9 at night.
Yeah. See,
Ooh,
that's the
I want
downside.
burritos now.
And then put on some Netflix. But here's my hot take then that's not on the list. Milk or milk substitute?
Milk, 100%.
Yeah,
Like
that's what I say.
as long as you're not
Like-
lactose intolerant, like go for the good stuff. And
yeah.
I've been in this. What is the generation after millennial? I'm a millennial, and then whatever generation that's like everybody's mad at right now.
It's probably whatever you are, Chuck.
It is
No,
probably-
after. She said after, not before.
After.
I am Gen X. I'm old.
Yeah. Which
Oh.
way is after or before?
The younger one. So
Okay,
whatever.
younger ones after would
The
be-
Sorry, I
1996 and under.
Yeah,
I think it's Gen Z.
Yeah.
I think it is.
But they say like this is my era, and so I feel like I'm in my treat yourself era, and I'm very much about experiences and experiencing the full breadth of things, like not looking at the price tag anymore. And I acknowledge that this comes from a place of you've got your career together and stuff like that. Not everybody's in the places that they want to be, but right now I'm in my whole milk era. I'm like, I work out every morning. I pay my bills on time. My credit score is good. Like, let's go for the whole milk. And not only just the whole milk, like, let's go for the expensive milk. Let's go for the one that comes in the carton with like the gray print on it and the fancy font that really means nothing. It really means that it came from the same creamery that the other one is from, but they just like added a little bit to the label to make it seem more expensive. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Let's enjoy it. Like, let's sip it. Let's, like, let's rock out. Like,
You're
whatever
willing,
it's creamery. Like,
you're like top shelf, whatever it is. I want to try some top shelf. I think that's
top shelf
great.
milk.
Whatever. Top shelf whiskey.
They have it in a little lockbox.
Yeah. There is a creamery here in Arizona that actually does them, and it's like twice the price, and it's in a glass bottle. But I always feel like it's better. I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's something
Well,
I haven't experienced yet. Like the milkman type milk, like the one that came in the ice box back in the day.
Yeah.
The glass
my
is
next
more
level of
expensive because you
class.
have a deposit on it. So you're supposed to take the bottle back. That's why it's more expensive.
Exactly.
But
That's
no
why
one's
it's more
taking it.
expensive. Yeah, because you get like $3 off the next one
Yeah.
if you just bring it back, and then it ends up being fine.
See, the
If you
fact
remember
that
to do
you
that.
get $3 off, like my milk is probably like $2.96 or something like that. Like,
Yeah, it's like $8 for a gallon of milk.
It's-
It's ridiculous,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's like getting milk in Hawaii or something, which is
Yeah.
like,
prices are going down though because, and I was just thinking this morning. So eggs, I eat a lot of eggs. I don't
Eggs
know
are
if we're
great.
on topic or what, but like
we do
we're a little
whatever.
off. We're a little more into
we're
whatnot, but
going
we're going to give you a
We'll get
platform
back.
for it.
We'll get back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about these eggs first, and then we can get back to the tech. I eat probably like 6 to 9 eggs a day, which is weird, probably, but this is my truth. I eat a lot of eggs, and then I'm just going to let you sit with that for a second. So I eat a lot of eggs, and so I buy a lot of eggs. And for a little while, when we first hit this whole like crazy recession-ish thing that we have in the US right now, eggs were like $8, then they were going up to like $12. And I was like, well, I mean, I just have to make more money because there's no way I'm going to stop eating eggs. Like this is
Right.
this is my
There you
thing.
go. I like the mindset.
Like,
yeah.
side
Just get
hustles.
there.
I'm like yard selling things. Like I got to figure this
gotta
out.
have
Like I got to get my life.
Maybe
get my
just
life
get
balanced
chickens
again.
at that point. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. But now it's back. Our main grocery store, or like one of our upscale-ish grocery stores, is Publix out in Atlanta. I feel like it's upscale-ish. It might not be, but
Publix is nice.
It's at $4.71. Yeah, Publix is amazing.
Yeah.
It's down from $12 to $4.71 for 30 eggs.
Wow.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's
I
not
stocked
bad.
up this morning. I Instacarted. I can't even count the number of 30 egg.
The maximum.
Oh, wow. You were
Whatever
just
I
going
could
to only
get.
eat. It is the most efficient protein. I remember reading that
It is.
it's like the one that your body uses the most of. So there's the least waste out of that. But also, I remember reading like earlier this year that like the egg industry had published record profits too. So it wasn't necessarily that like things became so expensive for them, but the tolerance for price increases was there. Everybody just accepted it across the board because everything was more expensive, and they're like, "Let's get in on this," and they
That's
did.
what everyone did.
victim.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a victim of that because I was like, $12, that's fine.
Yeah, you still
That's
said
fine.
yes, right?
Yeah,
You know, your
I was
vote
really about
yes.
to buy a chicken. I was gonna get a chicken and just like sit there and watch it.
I looked into that because I have 2 kids, like 4 and almost 7, and I'd heard like, oh, this is kind of like a cool thing to do. You can get, some chickens and have them kind of participate in the feeding and all that kind of stuff. But I think the logistics are a bit of a nightmare, so we backed out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, in the desert, it gets real hot, and we're like, am I going to air condition my chickens? I don't know. Can't do that. The other 9 months, they're all fine, but then like, what are they going to do at 110 or 12 or whatever it is today? It's like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
So TypeScript.
You definitely.
Yes.
What a smooth transition.
Yeah, I know,
We're
right?
not really good at those, but anyway, we have editors. They'll figure it
Yeah,
out.
it's all fine. We're very informal.
I'm not Sade. I'm not a smooth operator. So
What? I loved. Leave that in, please. That was good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
That was
Yeah.
really
we
good.
probably won't cut anything. I don't know. They'll cut
No,
maybe
we
a
don't
little
usually.
bit.
It's like a very so the idea is that it's very casual and natural
Yeah.
and whatever the hell we want it to be, right?
Well, okay, good.
And I make a lot of like pop culture references that Robbie doesn't get, so I'm glad you
Yeah,
got it.
I'm not old enough.
Oh,
or
really?
cool enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
You must be a baby. Are you a Gen Zer or something?
No,
you're-
I'll be 33 in November, so I'm not
Okay.
like super
right.
young or anything. And just Chuck is old.
And cultured, apparently.
Chuck
Like,
has a
you
young
don't-
face. You don't realize how old he is.
Yeah, that's just filters. It's the lighting and filters.
You did say you're from a different generation.
Yeah, I'm going to be 46 in September, so
Wow,
I am more than half dead.
Good. You're doing great,
yeah.
though. Whatever essential oils you're using.
Yeah,
it's
I look
working.
older than you. I think sometimes.
Yeah. You can grow a better beard than me too. I still struggle. Like I can do kind of a goatee, but like here it's like patchy and weird. It's just not even
Get
worth
some
it.
Nutrafol.
It feels like so much more hassle. It's like I can go days without shaving. Can you? I feel like you shaved this
No,
morning.
yeah,
and
I
you
shaved
have
3
a-
minutes
yeah.
ago, actually.
Yeah, exactly. The beginning of this podcast, you shaved, and then here it is already. See, so it seems like just more problems. I'll just take less hair to deal with in my
Yeah,
life.
that's fair.
Yeah, but anyway,
yeah.
TypeScript.
Yeah.
You were saying.
So, yeah, tell us
You've got
some
a
about your
course?
course.
You're working on a course?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did
Oh,
you decide
yeah.
to make a course, and what kind of stuff is in there?
That's a really good question. TypeScript was something I hated until I learned what the purpose was. I'm a self-taught engineer. I am maybe 2.5 years into my engineering career. I was a salesperson, tech sales for a bit, consulting sales. Like I sold the whole gambit. I sold nail polish for a bit. Coding was going to be a hobby thing. And I was doing it while I was on maternity leave. And I was like, I'll give myself half an hour a day to code and, just play with it and stuff like that. I just needed a new hobby. Without going into the whole details, I had a business, an online business, and it was powered by Shopify. And what I found most interesting about it, I thought was going to be the selling of the goods. But what I found most interesting was customizing the Shopify site. So learning Liquid, which is Shopify's Ruby-based language, to build these like custom plugins and things and to make the widgets that were already there work in the way that I wanted them to. And so I'd stay up until like 4 a.m. after spending time with my newborn and just, playing with the code. All that to say, I ended up taking Codecademy as my coursework, which is a self-paced, if you're not familiar, is a self-paced online learning platform where you can just learn like, okay, I want to learn HTML. You can take their HTML course, or you can say, I want to take a path, a web development path, and then it will take you through HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So JavaScript was the first language that I learned. It just fit my personality because it's very YOLO. Like it's,
Yeah.
and if you're not familiar with the term YOLO, you only live once, you just go for it. Like you do the thing, you don't worry about what the variables are going to end up being. You don't worry about like what the function
gonna
is going
love
to end up
PHP.
outputting. Oh yeah, I gotta try
Oh yeah,
it then.
it's even more YOLO. Yeah.
I love that. But I was like, okay, it works right now. Good enough. And I'll just, code and that works. I'm only building projects for myself, or, I might be trying to get a discount at my son's daycare. So I'm going to build them a website and I'll present that to them. If it works, as long as I present it to them, who cares if it doesn't work later? Who cares if stuff crashes later? Like nobody has to worry about that. I was in love with JavaScript because it just fit my personal values of like not giving a fuck. And then
That's a great value. I love that. I'd love to see that on your personal website, not just a puppy picture. I'm just
I
saying.
need to get one of those like neon things that just like I hang up. Fast forward to when I was like, I had the epiphany that, oh, I can actually make money as an engineer as much as I was making in sales. So maybe I'll try and make this a career because it's something that I love and I could make money. I started my first job, which was the last company that I was at, this company called SalesLoft. One of the folks who ends up being like my mentor and like one of my good friends, he's a staff engineer at the company right now. we were using Angular 1 at the time. This is 2021 or 2020. We were using Angular 1 and trying to migrate that to React. And he's like, you know what? In addition to this, let's also migrate to TypeScript. And I'm like, first of all, why do we got to do all this stuff? But second of all, why TypeScript? And so he ran a course for us. It was just like a 2-part series for an hour each of TypeScript, just showing us the basic stuff. Like, you know, you already understand that these are JavaScript types. This is a string. This is a number. All of this stuff you already get, but let's explicitly declare it. Or, you know, let's say that this is what the function is going to output. Just the way that my mind works is like, why do we have to do that? He is great at explaining the why of things. And once it clicked with me, it clicked with me. And I was like, okay, this makes our code more maintainable. So when people like me, I'm still a new engineer, when people like me are onboarding, or when I'm trying to learn about the code base, I'm trying to onboard to this new code base, I need to be able to understand this is what the last engineer meant when they wrote this code, or this is, if I'm like refactoring, this is what this code is supposed to do, versus like me having to do all of these console logs to get to the point, right? Also, it makes it scalable. So as we're trying to like, one, keep our own job security, but then hire on more engineers, this is making our code so much more stable. And what's the word? I just call it Teflon. Like it's like sturdy code where other people can come on board and instantly, like I said, understand what we meant to do, and they can introduce new code to the platform that is as error-free as possible. It helps to reduce a lot of those runtime errors. I start to get really excited about it, and I feel like a lot of people are in the same spot that I am, is that my initial thought with TypeScript is that, okay, you're putting a lot of rules in place, and you're giving me these red squigglies and telling me that I can't YOLO my code anymore. I can't just like write things as I want to anymore. Now there's rules, which is like, okay, are we lawyers? Are we doctors? Like, why do we have rules all of a sudden, right? So that kind of was annoying, but when you actually understand the reasons behind it, it kind of makes it more meaningful for you. And you're like, okay, now I have a purpose in doing this code, or now I have a purpose for refactoring it so that TypeScript is a part of my code. My thought was that a lot of engineers are in this camp where they feel like TypeScript is annoying as hell, but they just don't understand the reasons why there's the benefit of changing your code from JS to TS. And if they did get that, and they did understand that these are the reasons why these big companies are moving from just vanilla JavaScript to TypeScript, then it would make that transition a little bit easier, and it would make that pill easier to swallow. Like, yes, it's painful to learn something new, or yes, it's painful to refactor your huge code base to TypeScript, but these are all the benefits. This is why it's meaningful. So I want to approach it from the perspective of somebody who, one, you know, came in with this YOLO mantra, two, saw the light and is very pro TypeScript now, but also somebody who is still new to the engineering space and trying to learn, but also lift as I climb. As I'm having these same realizations, I want other people to realize, like, okay, this is what it's going to take for me to get this job at this company, or this is why it's important. This is why the work that I'm doing is meaningful. This is why, you know, I'm like, whatever stress, blood, sweat, and tears you put into the sprint to refactor TypeScript, this is the impact that you're going to have on the future engineers and, you know, the next class of people that come in. And also, when I'm teaching, I'm learning the best. Like, that is the way that I learn the best, is when I take this onto something that I'm teaching. So for selfish reasons, I also wanted to get such a deep knowledge of TypeScript that I could explain it to a newbie and make it make sense to them. I feel like I'm helping myself as well as helping other people who are in that same position, but then explaining it from my own way. I have this way of explaining things through analogies. The technical part comes second. Over a decade of my career was a career that's based on soft skills. Like, sales is all about how you communicate, your body language and the way that you negotiate and the way that you're listening to people and the way that they interpret things from you, and just making sure that you're conveying your message in the way that it can be best received by the individual that's in front of you, right? I'm great at the communication part of it. What's second to me is the technical part of it. And so I'm like, I have this unique opportunity to teach people from a very unique perspective something that's so important, as well as like learn it myself, learn it more deeply. So that's
a nice way to like deep dive on your own and benefit personally, and then share that benefit with others. Might I suggest a renaming of your course?
Yeah, go for it. What
TS for YOLO. TS for YOLO. Still short. Still kind of has a like, yeah.
I love it so much.
I kind of like feel like it applies and is also a little more on brand. So I don't know. Do what you will with that, I guess.
You know what? I think tonight I'm going to at least buy the website and make sure that redirects to the appropriate place because, yes.
Do some A/B testing with the SEO, see what works better.
Yeah. See?
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. Remove kind of a generic out of that and then still, and still keep it short. I like it. It's just 2 more letters, so why not?
A lot has come out of this conversation, and I appreciate that.
So I saw, I think in one of the articles or something, it might be your Dev2 profile or something, you were digging into Rails and Go. Are you still doing that?
Yeah. No. So, yeah.
Yes, but
that was a weird
not at all.
That was a weird answer. No, I'm not. And you know what the truth is? I actually need to change that because I do remember where it came from. That's where the yes was. Yes, I remember that I put that. No, I'm not still digging into it. I had in my mind when I wrote that I wanted to work at Netflix. And as you know, the reason that I wanted to work at Netflix is because of my current manager. I was like, he'd be an awesome person to work for. My thought was that the team was using Go at Netflix. I don't know where I got that from, but we're not. We're using Java and Kotlin. So that's going to be next on my list.
Okay.
Yeah. Rails was because that was the backend language at my last company. Yeah, I've been at Netflix for almost 2 years now. So I think it's about time that I change that.
I would say this, your old company was using Rails and Angular 1. So you essentially started your career in about 2010.
No.
Give or take, and you've got a lot more experience.
I think that was more like 2012.
I don't know, maybe.
But
Rails
still,
is
a while
sooner.
ago.
I remember hearing about Rails in like 2007 or 8.
But Angular came out in like 2011 or 12. So.
Yeah, but I remember Angular 1 when I was at National Geographic, and I was like 11 or 12, and then we eventually tried to refactor that out. Anyway, so you got a while.
You see? It's disgusting. Yeah, it was it's bad. But yeah, this was I started it was 2020 was when I made that switch. It was November of 2020. Okay. So late 2020. Yeah. And they were still going strong with Rails and just starting with the Angular 1 migration.
Hey, we use Rails.
Early 2020.
No shame.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Who's we?
Nice.
I don't
Art 19.
It's not dead.
Yeah, it's not dead.
Oh,
okay.
right. Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, Basecamp is based on it. DHH and all that has a very nice view from his desk because of it. Like, if it ain't broke, don't try and fix it kind of thing. You don't always have to follow the hotness. I mean, I got that. I don't know why someone would start a new project in it today, but I don't know, maybe.
If you're used to it.
Right.
Like, it depends on if you want the hotness and the performance or if you just want something you can build really fast in.
And you can YOLO and some PHP, and then you get Laravel and people like that, apparently. Yeah. I don't know. I just had a lot of WordPress nightmares.
Apparently.
I know.
That's what I see on Twitter.
Yep. I had a lot of nightmares with WordPress and PHP early in my career, so I just am like, I'm not doing that ever again.
So if you were to start a company that is like a FANG company, whatever acronym or whatever letter you want to use, let's call it, Robbie Company. So
why has it got to be Robbie? Fanger. Why can't it be Chuck Company?
Because that was first.
So what backend language would your team be using?
Good question. I like when someone turns it back on us too.
We don't do enough, or I don't do enough backend to answer that well. Like, I would use JavaScript across the board because it's easy for me. So I would do Node or whatever framework in Node. But I think like probably Rust or
serverless,
Elixir or like more real backend languages?
I would want to know what the company is attempting to doing, and I would probably keep it simple at first and expand. Like I remember coming across this company that was doing like all this crazy stuff, and honestly, they could have just as easily have done it with a Next.js app using API routes, essentially serverless with an ORM talking to your database, and then think about scaling that out later when you have users, right? Like get a product and see if people like it. Right. You can over-engineer a lot of shit. And so you start with whatever works quickly for you. So I think I could do a Next app really quick and then use API routes for CRUD stuff. And then if I started to have like operationally difficult things, I might move into like serverless functions and have a layer there and then start building it out as my needs grew. I wouldn't invest in infrastructure up front.
No Kubernetes day one?
No, even though I like it, I do like it because it's hard and it's a lot of YAML and it annoys you.
That's why people like it, because they feel cool doing it. Yeah.
Well, because complexity creates career longevity, right?
True.
Like if it's really hard, people can base their whole careers on that stuff. And at the end of the day, the companies that really need that, are just way bigger, doing a lot more stuff. Yeah, if you're doing like Kubernetes clusters of just containers. I mean, I like containers because there's consistency across machines, so that's kind of nice. It works on my laptop, goes away when you use containerization, but
that's true.
Outside of that, I don't know that you need orchestration early on. I love that somebody asked us a question finally. Nobody really cares.
No one cares about us.
That's validated most of the time. Here's the thing. People work at Netflix. I always want to know, what is your favorite Netflix show?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, some good questions. So... why am I so excited? There is a show. First of all, Black Mirror. Okay. There's a new season that just came out, and I'll explain Black Mirror. Okay, you haven't seen it. I'm not going to give you any spoilers.
I showed my wife the first episode of the first season, and she was like, fuck no.
Of course.
No, right? And that's what everybody who has seen it has said. And so trying to get her back in. Well,
started like
season 1, episode 1?
Started season 3 because like the Netflix app started me at season 3 on accident, and I got hooked there.
You know how many Housewives I'm going to have to watch in order to get her back on board? I hope it's worth it.
Anyway.
What does it say about me that I saw that episode, the first one, and I was like, I'm going to watch another one then?
I mean, I was fine with it, but she was just like, no.
Because it was something else. Like it's a tough pill to swallow. If you're listening or watching and you haven't seen Black Mirror, don't start with season 1, episode 1, especially if you have like a big moral compass. Like if you're like on Twitter and just responding to tweets that have nothing to do with you, talking about, oh, this is wrong. Don't do that. So start with like you said, season 3, episode 3, right, Robbie? That's fine. Or
episode
season
1,
3,
I
episode
think.
1.
It was like the Star Trek-y one or whatever.
Okay.
That guy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
That's good.
Yeah.
Yep. So the basic premise of the show, every episode is its own little movie. They're 45 minutes-ish to like an hour and 10 minutes-ish long. And they're all kind of like what if situations. Like what if this crazy thing happened and how would that play out? I'm trying to give an example. What if we could record with our eyes? Like what if we had contact lenses or some like thing that was in our brain that we could have installed that would record all of our day? What are the different ways that could go wrong? And then there's the drama that's associated with that. And it just like plays out in different scenarios. So like I said, each episode is its own little movie. So you don't have to start from season 1, episode 1. Everything is just a different experience. The new season is pretty good. I really liked the older seasons as well. I'm trying to think what was my favorite one of the ones that I've seen. This wasn't my favorite season, but it is a really good show. And that's one of my favorites. Stranger Things, of course, like phenomenal. There's this new show. I've really been into personal finance over the past couple of years. And there's this new show that one of my best friends put me on, which is called How to Be Rich, I think, by
Ramit Sethi? Yeah. So I've read his book. Yeah.
Okay. I bought the book. I haven't started it yet. I have a really good book recommendation, by the way. So we'll put a pin in that. I'm not really big on reality shows, and this seems kind of reality show-ish. But if you're into personal finance, he has really, really great, meaningful tips. You don't have to, obviously, as with any advice, take it with a grain of salt. Take it as it applies to your life. Okay. Same with tech tips, finance tips, relationship tips. Please just take whatever applies to you, and you don't have to tweet about anything else. Like, you don't have to argue about anything else. It's fine. Like,
You don't
it's
have
fine.
to
Not
be
everything
right.
is going to
Just do something. Yeah.
No,
Keep it
yeah,
to
we-
Not
yourself.
everything has to be for you. Like, doesn't have to be for you. But he has really great tips on how to make sure that your financial situation is what you want it to be. And I had some really great realizations as I was watching his show, and me and my good friend are talking about how to save and how to make sure that our lives are set up so that our kids, grandkids have a life set up for them, right? This is the type of mission that we're on. But Ramit talks about how to live your life today in the way that you want to. What is your definition of rich? Not necessarily how much money you have right now, but how you want to spend that money. Like, what's important to you? And I realized, like, oh, you know what? Maybe saving isn't as important. I'm saving a lot of money. Like, I'm saving probably 80 to 85% of my income is just savings.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Gotta buy more eggs.
You know?
Yeah.
And
Good
I'm like,
for
this
you.
is great because, like, I have a hefty savings account, but like when it comes to doing the things that I actually want to do, I hesitate. Like, I love to travel, and I haven't taken a trip with my son since before the pandemic. I was just thinking, like, why not? Like, what's the point of having this big savings account? What if I die tomorrow? Or what if I live to 85, but I don't have these memories of traveling with my son, doing the things that I love with the person that I love the most in this world? What did I really achieve by saving all that money? So it just started me thinking of, like, what is my definition of rich? And to me, it's like, if I can spend time with the people that I love in the ways that I want to, then this is the most beautiful life that I can imagine for myself. Let my son figure out what he's going to do for a job. If he's going to figure out, like, working for Chick-fil-A or whatever, he's got enough savings that, like, I've saved for him and all that stuff, but, like, he'll figure out his own life. Like, he's not.
Yeah, it's not an unreasonable reality if, like, someone becomes a garbage man. I don't know. It's because somebody has to do it. It's not a terrible job.
If you
Comes
love
with
it,
attention.
like, that's half the battle. It's
If you're
what you
happy,
like.
if it's providing you something, like, living a rich life, right? And he would grow up and have these experiences with you and remember that, and that would also be valuable to him. Even if he can't replicate it himself. Like, there's something to be said about that, right? We always want better for our children, but it's not always realistic. And you can't, regardless, you could save all your money and send him to Harvard and it doesn't work out, right?
Exactly.
You can't guarantee anything.
They can
you just got to
invest
make
it all
a
in
good
a bad
human and see what
investment and
happens.
be broke.
Exactly.
100%.
Because this happens to all of us.
I went out drinking with the son of the founder of Comcast, and he, I feel like, was a black sheep, and he was a character. And I was like, you're going to lose all your money, man. Because he was like one of those people that you just know he's going to end up in a headline that's, like, really, it's sad. And he was a fun time. But I'm like, you have all the opportunities in the world. You come from a very, very rich family. You're just messing it all up. And his older brother was like one of those, like, oh, I have to do everything to impress dad and, all that. And I'm like, your life isn't actually what I want to live either, because he's not living his own life. He's living the life that he thinks his dad wants. I guess for me, my rich life is making sure that I'm just as happy as I want to be. And then my son has the flexibility to, like, never want to, oh, I need to impress mom and I need to forego all the things that are interesting and important to me. But also, like, I'm not this big fuck up, and it's just like a whole person. That's all that I care about. And this show in general has just made me think of things in a much different way than I've ever thought of things. So would highly recommend that. How to Get Rich by Ramit Sethi.
Nice. Yeah, I like his content. I saw him speak once years ago, read his book. He was in the circle of, like, Tim Ferriss influencers back in the day, so that's how I came across him. And he's obviously been able to build, like, all these products and everything else. But I love the ideology of not just, he's trying to, like, remove money as a stressor, which doesn't work 100% for me. But it helps me make decisions sometimes too, though, like, do I care more about saving money on this, or do I care more about missing this experience, right? I don't want to look back and have regrets and say, for me, it was like, I lived in Europe for like 7 months or whatever. And, I had a fixed savings and all that stuff going on. And then it was like, I'm really into soccer, so I want to see these games, and the tickets aren't cheap, and I would just think like, ooh, can I really see a third game? And then I thought about like, if that's just a line on a credit card bill that later on I got to deal with, am I going to regret that, or am I going to regret saying no? And that's usually like my decision tree there, because when am I coming back to do this thing at this time? Bars. You don't know.
That's what we say. Hashtag bars. Bars. These are, you're spitting right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
like
kind of, yeah. I have a playlist. Yeah. So I'm actually really into hip hop. I'm into music in general, but growing up in the 80s and 90s, there's a lot of hip hop and punk rock and like a mix of things for me. I was
back when music was good.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Thank you.
I know that Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with. That's all I know. I watched that on Hulu, by the way. It was amazing. I don't know if you watched that, the dramatization. I know RZA had his own thing on like Prime or something like that, but the drama one on Hulu is so good if you like them. Like, I had like Dead Kennedys cassette tapes and the Fat Boys, that kind of stuff. So it was a weird mix in Cincinnati. Like, so I grew up in northern Kentucky, which is like essentially across the river from Cincinnati, and so we had like a very urban mix plus Kentucky southern sensibility. I don't know. Yeah. It's strange. This is what it makes, I guess. Yeah.
This is such a great conversation because I feel like I'm learning a lot of things. Like I would have never thought Kentucky. Like I would have thought bluegrass, and you know so all I know about country music is like bluegrass is part of that, I think. But I'm like Shania Twain. And that's all I know. Taylor,
right. Well, that's pop country, right? Yeah. So, it's funny thing. I love
Isn't
banjo.
it all pop country?
No, not at all. Come on. Like Hank Williams Sr. Did you know that Jerry Garcia was a bluegrass musician before he joined the Grateful Dead? And he was he's amazing at banjo, which is a difficult
I do appreciate a banjo. I think it looks really hard.
And I love when banjo is weaved into like rock songs and like all, more like alternative, like that kind of juxtaposition is like amazing. And therein I end up having a bunch of respect for bluegrass music, which is like oftentimes thought of like you're wearing overalls and you're barefoot and all that, but I'm sure there's plenty of that. That's for so Robbie's making a joke because I have overalls. I like them and I put them on sometimes when I'm like doing work in the yard when it's not summer, and my daughter, who's now 4, she's like, I don't know, last year or whatever, I put them on and I'm going out and she's like, Daddy, no, that's for farm. Because she has this like little farm play school set and the farmer guy has overalls on. And so she says, that's for farm. She actually said that to me this morning because she has this like overall denim dress. And I was like, do you want to wear this? Because she's going to her camp. And she said, no, Daddy, that's for farm. And the only time she's worn it, we went to like a pumpkin farm or something. I don't know. So I don't know.
She knows what she's talking about.
Yeah, she is. She's a lot smarter than I am. So
that's incredible.
Yeah. Anyway, that's for farm. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. We are over time here. Is there anything that you want to plug or anything we missed before we end?
Yeah, I'll replug my course. For now, it's tsforjs.com, tsforjs.com. If you go there, subscribe to the updates, you'll get freebies. You will get updates about the progress of the course. You'll get information as soon as that course is released. If you want to follow me on any social media, the benefit of having a unique name like Shaundai is that you can find me on any handle or any social media platform as just @Shaundai. So my website, shaundai.com, my Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky. What are the other
you got one of those? I am not cool enough to get invited to any of that shit.
If you guys need, I have 2 more passes, so if you guys
Blue Sky's dead. Threads is the new thing.
It is dead. Yeah. Threads. That's the other one.
Okay.
Threads.
See, I just keep waiting them all out. I'm sorry.
I think Threads is it, but everybody says everything is it. So we'll see where it goes. But yeah, you can find me at Shaundai, SHAUNDAI. What else do I want to plug?
Not Shaundai.
Shaundai, not Shaundai.
No,
it's Shaundai.
If you moved
so I
to
say
Japan,
like a day of the
it would be
week.
really. Yes, I heard you say that. If you moved to Japan, it would be really difficult, I think.
I had somebody write my name in Japanese, and that's all I know to the story. It's something that has nothing to do with like she wrote out 2 words that sound like Sean and Day, and they have nothing to do with the name Sean or the word Day, but they just sound like that. Yeah, and that's all there is to the story. But she wrote it out in phonetic Japanese.
Nice.
I wish I didn't even start that story because that was such a boring story.
I love it. That's all right. That's staying in.
Yeah, we'll keep it all.
Yeah, it's like a day of the week: Saturday, Sunday, Shaundai.
Yeah.
That's my name. So, yeah, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah,
And
Thanks for coming on.
I appreciate your patience with the toddler screams in the background.
Oh yeah, no problem. We have kids, we know. Cool. All right, thanks everybody for listening. If you liked it, please subscribe, leave us some ratings and reviews. We appreciate it, and we will catch you next time.